More good news for Florida State as a three-star linebacker is in the fold, but this name you're going to recognize because his brother is already here on campus, and he was a high-profile transfer coming from North Carolina this past offseason. Breaking it down with us here is Michael Langston, senior recruiting analyst for Warchant.com. Noah Lavallee says yes to Florida State, Michael. Did this feel like it was always coming after his brother said yes to FSU in the college transfer portal, or did Florida State have to do some heavy lifting here to get this Marietta product to Tallahassee?
I think they had to work. On paper, it looks like, hey, this seems like a layup. His brother transferred from North Carolina here. It seems like you would be a layup, but Ole Miss was pushing, man, really hard. They were laying it on. I mean, they got him on campus like 3 or 4 times, which around the same amount as FSU, but they were on there threatening. They were feeling good about, once they did his official visit to Ole Miss, a week or so ago. I think they felt like, hey, they could pull this off because they felt like he was very comfortable with Pete Golden over there, certainly who's been at Alabama. He certainly knows defense. He knows defensive players really well. He knows how to develop them. But I think overall, I think I still went back to the relationship when I think of Noah. I think about how they didn't. I don't think Caleb was ever brought up when they recruited Noah. It was basically just, this is what we like about you, man. They recruited him individually instead of just, hey, your brother's here, but we want you too. It's more like, hey, this is what we like about you. Not we don't. We obviously we like Caleb because we got him as a transfer, but this is what we like specifically about you. A guy that tackles in space really well, a guy that they just felt like they could not live without. And they got some really talented linebackers that they're pushing for, but this is one that they were very consistent with. Every time this kid got on campus, you felt like, whether it's, Norvell with the family or the position coach or JP or Tony White, they made sure that he wasn't just a layup or he wasn't just an easy recruitment. They treated it like, hey, we're in a battle and we got to make sure we don't take any chances and wrap this thing up. I know people look at that and they're like, oh, 3-star, but it's like, first of all, he doesn't have 3-star film. Second of all, they didn't treat him like a 3-star, and neither did Ole Miss. So I think it's a really big pickup for FSU, especially at a position that they really want to load up and getting 3 or 4 guys in this class.
Well, again, yeah, I mean, linebacker, if you're going to run a 3-3-5, you need a lot of linebackers, and there's a lot of reps to be had. Ooh, that's a nasty finish on that play.
Yeah.
This is a kid who's 6'2", 220. That's what he's listed right now is on 3. His brother Caleb, 6'1", 228 is Florida State official listing. So similar build to his brother. And again, you can see in the open field, good closing speed. He's not afraid of, as linebackers better not be, he's not afraid of contact, not afraid of getting off of blocks and finishing downhill and making plays. John Papuchis at linebacker now. Michael, you talked about this from the moment that he moved positions. He's going home, so to speak.
Yeah.
The position that he likes to coach primarily. What's he been like on the trail under Tony White and now, going after linebackers?
He's done really good. You look at it with the recruitments of T.J. White, Rodney Colton, and even DQ Warpaw, who visited. They all visited last weekend, officially visit, and he knocked it out of the park. I think 2 of those 3 they probably lead for. So I think overall he's done a really good job at the position that he's more natural with, of things and instincts he looks for as far as recruiting. And I think he feels really comfortable at home, and you sense that with a lot of these recruits when they talk about him, the way they talk about JP. I think Rodney Colton himself said, that's a guy I trust. I can't say that about everyone, but I can say that about Coach JP, that I definitely trust him. He loved the plan that they had for him. Same thing with TJ White. We've heard the same thing out of DQ when he talked about JP. So certainly it's given them a big amount of energy of him moving over to that linebacker position. And it also doesn't hurt when you have a guy like Tony White that has so much great experience at that linebacker position as a defensive coordinator. So you got 2 guys working on it that at their natural spots. I think it's a match perfectly for both sides.
I think the next logical question then is, in this class, generally speaking, even they want a lot of linebackers, I'd imagine, because you're going to have a lot of them in the front. And sometimes they have these guys, there's a hybrid-like nature to some of these positions between safety and linebacker and safety, depending upon, Michael, what the offense is doing week to week. So how many do you think they want to take in this class? Noah's in the fold, but how many total linebackers do you think Florida State would aim to take?
I think it'd be definitely 3 or 4. I think they would prefer 4 because like when you watch Noah, that seems like that's a Mike kid. Like that's a Mike linebacker. Where the other ones, I think you could argue were different ways that they could use outside linebacker, maybe a little more some stuff inside, kind of a versatility of it. With the other three guys that I covered, I think those are the main ones that we hear the most about. Although don't close the door on Xavier Griffin. He's officially visiting this weekend. Top linebacker, one of the top linebackers in the country that FSU is heavily involved with. So that's another one that they're in the picture for. So I definitely think they want 3 or 4, and I definitely like, I should say definitely love just what I'm seeing from and hearing from your recruits when it comes to just the position, just how they value the position, how they would be utilized. We've had like 2 or 3 kids that we've either myself or Matt have interviewed, and they told them like, FSU is the one of the few programs, probably if not the only program, that really laid out a really detailed plan as far as what they're going to do. And I think that's a mixture of Tony White and JP, but I think it shows you the development we've seen in linebacker recruiting, which it's a lot better than the previous years that we're used to.
It's also something I should touch on. I'd be foolish not to discuss the other crossover type linebacker. Yeah, I'm thinking about safeties and coverage responsibilities. But Michael, not all linebackers are created the same, and especially if you have 3 down linemen, there might be some pass rush responsibilities that are placed on some of these linebackers. Now, I know what you're saying about Noah. He's a Mike, so that's not necessarily what I'm getting at right now. But when you're talking about linebackers that Florida State are bringing in, we kind of have to change our definition from the 4 down line look that we had under Adam Fuller, where a defensive end's a defensive end. There's a lot of crossover now that we've got to consider with linebackers.
You do. You have to have certain guys that some of them. You're gonna have a few of them that the strengths are coverage, and then you're gonna have some that tackle in space, where that's what we see with Noah. When you see the way he tackles in space is, to me, exceptional. I mean, that's the biggest thing that excites me the most when I watch Noah is that ability to tackle in space. And then we got guy like DQ. He does a little bit of everything. He's athletic off the charts. He's a freak. Heat-seeking missile. Maybe not a guy that has that tackling space and like Noah does, but it's not far off. But he's also athletically so talented that you feel very comfortable putting him out in pass coverage. I think same thing with Rodney Colton when you watch them. So a lot of them have different strengths, and that's what I love about all these guys that they're recruiting. They're built differently, and their strengths are different.
So Florida State now has the second Lavallee on campus. Caleb amending what was a spring that he was very limited by injury, but Caleb will be available for Florida State in the fall. And then in 2026, here comes Noah down from Marietta, Georgia, down to Tallahassee, Florida. We'll see what Florida State has cooking up its sleeve here in the recruiting realm after getting this yes from Noah Lavallee. Make sure to head over to the Premium Recruiting Board. It's just $1 for your first week at warchant.com. Join the largest FSU fan community and get the breakdowns on all the other players that Florida State is in on after an extremely busy month of official visitors. Michael, we appreciate the insights, and we appreciate everybody if you give Michael a thumbs up here underneath the video. Thanks, Michael. I'm sure we'll be talking pretty soon.
No problem. Thanks, guys.